Delta-8. Delta-8 is a psychoactive cannabinoid found in the cannabis plant, kind of like its louder cousin Delta-9. The difference? Delta-8 shows up in way smaller amounts and usually needs to be made from cannabidiol pulled out of hemp. It still messes with the mind, just not quite as hard. It's one of the most popular drugs in the world right now, especially for young kids because it's so easily accessible at gas stations. There's a voluntary program in place for players dealing with synthetic cannabinoids. Signing up won't get them in trouble, but not following the rules after that definitely could. Fines or suspensions are still on the table. Research on Delta-8's effect on performance is all over the place. Some people say it helps with relaxation and focus. Others point out it messes with your heart rate and energy. Basically, no one really knows what it does to elite athletes yet. And as far as big scandals go, nothing in the NBA has popped off around Delta-8, but one player, Jared Dwayne Shaw, landed in hot water in Indonesia over Delta-9 candies. Very different country, very different rules. Testosterone. Testosterone's a natural hormone that boosts muscle growth, strength, and recovery, but when it's taken in synthetic form, it crosses into banned territory for NBA players. The league doesn't allow synthetic testosterone because it can give players a serious edge and create a mess of health problems. It's made mostly in the testes and sometimes in the adrenal glands, doing everything from building muscle to deepening voices. But those synthetic versions, that's where performance starts to spike, and that's exactly why it's banned. These anabolic steroids can help athletes train longer, recover faster, and pack on way more muscle. Sounds great for a highlight reel, but it messes with fairness and safety. The NBA tests players 4 times during the season, and if they've got a reason to believe something's up, they'll test even more. The penalties are no joke. 25 games for first offense, 55 for the second, and a total ban for the third. Some players haven't dodged the consequences. Didi Louzada got hit with a suspension for testing positive for testosterone. It's not just muscles that get affected either. It can boost confidence, aggression, and focus, but it also raises risks like heart disease, liver damage, and serious hormonal problems. The NBA's been strict with this stuff for a reason. Ketamine. Ketamine's a dissociative anesthetic that's used in medicine, but raises a lot of red flags in sports like the NBA. If a player tests positive for it, they're pushed into a treatment program. Do it again, and they're looking at suspensions. Or worse, it's used in hospitals for anesthesia, and lately, it's been making waves in treating depression and PTSD under close supervision, but outside those settings, it becomes a problem. The stuff can mess with reaction time and coordination, 2 things you kind of need if you're trying to guard someone in transition or hit a step-back jumper. It can also raise your heart rate and blood pressure, which is risky when your job involves sprinting, jumping, and constant contact. There haven't been any reported suspensions in the NBA directly tied to ketamine, but players like Tyreek Evans have been kicked out over other banned substances in the same category. In the US, ketamine is a Schedule III controlled substance. That means it's legal for medical use, but illegal to use without a prescription. So yeah, it's not something players can casually mess with. The risks, both on and off the court, are too serious. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, cocaine. Cocaine's a central nervous system stimulant that's powerful, addictive, and completely banned in the NBA. It's made from the coca plant and causes dopamine to spike, which can make users feel energized, sharp, and unnaturally confident. Sounds like it might help on the court, right? But any temporary boost is drowned out by the massive health risks and long-term damage. Cocaine isn't like some borderline case. It's right at the top of the league's blacklist. It can mess with decision-making, raise injury risk, and send heart rate through the roof. It also leads to addiction fast, and that's destroyed more than a few careers. Just look at Michael Ray Richardson, Roy Tarpley, Richard Dumeau, Chris Washburn, and David Thompson. Each one had the talent, but cocaine got in the way. The league's been forced to tighten the screws. First offense gets treatment, second gets suspended, third can be a lifetime ban. It's not just about physical performance either. Aggression, paranoia, and major mood swings make it impossible to stay consistent. The NBA's stance is harsh for a reason. Tramadol. Tramadol's a synthetic opioid that treats pain but comes with enough baggage to get it banned from the NBA in 2024. It works by hitting the opioid receptors and messing with serotonin and norepinephrine levels, making it a potent tool for killing pain but also raising red flags for abuse. That's why the NBA and the Players Union added it to the anti-drug program, lining up with the World Anti-Doping Agency's stance on the drug's biggest draw for athletes: pain relief. It can make intense training or playing through injuries more manageable, but it's not some magic fix. Tramadol can slow down reaction times and dull focus. Pretty bad news. when you're trying to chase someone down in transition, and regular use can lead to dependence, which opens the door to serious long-term problems. Bobby Portis found that out the hard way. In 2025, he was suspended 25 games after testing positive. He claimed he confused tramadol with Toradol, which is actually allowed. His team said it was an honest mistake, but the league stuck with the penalty. In the US, tramadol is listed as a Schedule 4 controlled substance. That means it's got medical uses, but it's still tightly regulated. For athletes, especially in the NBA, the message is clear. No matter the intention, using tramadol is risky and against the rules. DHEA. DHEA is a hormone made naturally by the body, but once it's turned into a supplement, things get dicey, especially in the NBA. It acts as a precursor to testosterone and estrogen, and while it's legal to buy over the counter in the US, it's banned by the NBA. Why? Because it can boost testosterone, and that opens the door to performance enhancement. The league tossed it on the banned list to match up with other sports agencies like the World Anti-Doping Agency. The penalties are clear. A first offense means a 10-game suspension, then it jumps to 25 games for a second, and a lifetime ban after a third. Back in 2009, Rashard Lewis got hit with a 10-game suspension after a test showed elevated testosterone levels tied to DHEA. Then in 2011, O.J. Mayo also sat for 10 games after he said he unknowingly drank an energy drink laced with the stuff. It can increase muscle mass, speed up recovery, and improve energy level. But results vary, and most studies say it doesn't do much for younger athletes. The risks? Hormonal imbalances, liver issues, heart problems, and mood swing. So even if it's easy to buy, athletes in the NBA can't afford the consequences. Taking it, even by accident, comes with career-altering results. LSD. LSD is a synthetic hallucinogen that hits serotonin receptors and flips perception upside down. It kicks in fast, peaks within a few hours, and can stretch out over 20 hours. Visual distortions, emotional roller coasters, and that weird feeling of being connected to everything. Classic LSD effects. It's not physically addictive, but it can absolutely scramble your brain short-term and leave some long-term mental baggage. Playing on LSD, you're either gonna see 50 defenders or none. Like many of the other drugs, first time caught, players are tossed into a treatment program. Keep pushing it, and suspensions or even full dismissal from the league are next. The policy's clear. There's no room for unpredictability when millions are watching. Performance-wise, some claim LSD dulls pain, which could help on a physical level, but the downsides are brutal. It messes with coordination, delays reaction time, and judgment basically disappears. Not exactly a winning combo on the court. Legally, LSD is a Schedule I drug in the US. That means it's considered to have no medical use and a high potential for abuse. It's completely illegal and totally off limits in professional sports. One bad trip, and your career might take a turn you can't dribble out of. Cannabis. Cannabis is a psychoactive plant packed with compounds like THC and CBD, and it's had a rocky relationship with the NBA. THC delivers the mental buzz, while CBD offers therapeutic effects without getting players spaced out. Back in the day, testing positive for cannabis meant a trip to a treatment program, a big fine, or even a suspension, but that changed fast. In 2020, the league hit pause on random marijuana testing during the pandemic. Then, by July 1st, 2023, cannabis officially got scratched off the banned substances list. In the new collective bargaining agreement, no more random testing. Players can even invest in cannabis and CBD companies now, just not as controlling owners. But if someone's acting off at practice or games, the team can still step in and require an evaluation. While cannabis won't turn anyone into an all-star, some athletes swear by it for easing pain, lowering anxiety, and helping them sleep. But the side effects can't be ignored. Too much, and it might tank focus and reaction time. Big names in the league have stepped up too. Al Harrington launched Viola Brands. Clifford Robinson used cannabis during his career and later started his own brand. Kevin Durant joined Weed Maps to push for cannabis acceptance in sports. Durant literally plays every game high. The league's shift shows how fast the conversation around cannabis is evolving. MK677. MK677, also called Ephedrin, is a growth hormone secretagogue that kicks the body into boosting its own growth hormone, an insulin-like growth factor 1. It mimics the hunger hormone ghrelin and gets swallowed instead of injected, which makes it a lot more tempting for anyone trying to gain muscle and cut fat without the needles. But here's the catch. It's not approved for human use, and the NBA doesn't want it anywhere near the league. First offense, mandatory treatment. Keep using it, and they're looking at a long suspension or full dismissal. In January 2024, Tristan Thompson got slapped with a 25-game suspension for testing positive for MK677 and another banned compound, LGD4-033. Both are tied to muscle growth and body fat reduction, and both are banned for good reason. MK677 can increase lean mass and help with recovery, but it can also throw off insulin sensitivity, raise blood sugar, and cause swelling, pain, and neurological symptoms like numbness and anxiety. Worst part, long-term effects are still a mystery. Legally, it's in the no-go zone. The FDA hasn't approved it, and it's banned in all major sports. Anyone using it without medical authorization is risking a suspension, and possibly their entire career. Heroin or diacetylmorphine is an opioid so powerful and dangerous that the NBA lists it as a drug of abuse with automatic consequences. It's made from morphine, comes in powder or tar form, and gets into the system fast by injection, snorting, or smoking. Once inside, it turns back into morphine, floods the brain, and hooks into opioid receptors like it's on a mission. That rush users feel, it comes with warm flushes, dry mouth, and a heavy sinking feeling that might seem relaxing until the addiction kicks in. In the NBA, one positive test for heroin means an instant dismissal. Players can try for reinstatement after 2 years, but only if they complete treatment and get the green light from both the league and Players Association. The message is clear. There's zero tolerance. Careers have been destroyed by it. Chris Herron was one of the most public examples. His NBA path crashed due to heroin, though he eventually recovered and now speaks about addiction. Cyril Baptiste never got to play after being drafted because of heroin use. Reggie Harding, the first player drafted straight from high school, also lost his shot due to heroin. On the court, heroin wrecks performance. It slows reaction time, weakens coordination, and clouds decision-making. Off the court, the health risks are even worse. Overdose, disease, organ damage, and severe mental health issues. It's banned for reasons that go way beyond basketball. Diuretics. Diuretics, also called water pills, are medications that help flush water and salts from the body by increasing urine production. They're used to treat real medical conditions like high blood pressure and swelling. But in pro sports, especially the NBA, they've got a sketchy reputation. That's because they can be used to drop weight quickly or hide other banned substances during a drug test. The NBA bans diuretics outright. Substances like furosemide, spironolactone, and hydrochlorothiazide are all on the naughty list. Get caught once, and it's a 25-game suspension without pay. After that, it only gets worse. These aren't just pills for bloating. They're classified as performance enhancers and masking agents under the league's anti-drug program. In 2019, DeAndre Ayton found that out the hard way when he was suspended 25 games for testing positive for a diuretic. The NBA never named the specific drug, but it didn't matter. The policy was enforced. Diuretics might make you lighter on the scale, but they also mess with hydration, drain essential electrolytes, and can leave you dizzy, weak, or worse, at risk for kidney damage. They don't boost performance, they sabotage it. Athletes with real medical needs can apply for a therapeutic use exemption, but using them without clearance, that's a fast track to the bench, no questions asked. Phentermine. Phentermine is a prescription stimulant used for weight loss, but in the NBA, it's a red flag. It boosts norepinephrine and dopamine levels in the brain, which cranks up energy, cuts appetite, and makes users feel more alert. That might sound useful during a grueling 82-game season, but it's banned for good reason. The league, alongside the Players Association, considers it a performance-enhancing drug, and a risky one at that. In 2007, Lindsey Hunter got caught up in it. He was hit with a 10-game suspension after testing positive while playing for the Detroit Pistons. His explanation? He took his wife's diet pills without knowing they contained phentermine. The NBA didn't buy that as a free pass. Under the current policy, the first offense brings a 10-game suspension, second means 25, and third gets you booted from the league with a shot at reinstatement after 2 years. These rules exist to protect fairness and player health. Phentermine can jack up your heart rate, mess with your sleep, and push your nervous system into overdrive. It's linked to anxiety, addiction, and serious heart risks. Sure, it might kill your hunger and give you a burst of focus, but the health costs and the league penalties make it a dangerous shortcut no player should take. Codeine. Codeine is an opioid used for pain relief and cough suppression, but in the NBA, it's straight up banned under the league's anti-drug program. It's a prodrug, meaning once it hits your system, it turns into morphine and then latches onto the brain's opioid receptor. That's where the sedation, slowed reflexes, and risk of addiction start kicking in. Not exactly a formula for elite-level performance. That puts it in the same category as heroin and LSD. A first-time offense sends a player into mandatory treatment. After that, the punishments ramp up to suspensions or even getting kicked out of the league. It doesn't matter if it came from a doctor or a friend. Once it shows up in a test, the league moves fast. While it can help with pain, the trade-offs are ugly. Sedation, drowsiness, Dizziness, it's a recipe for disaster on the court. You can't run plays when your brain's buffering like an old internet video. Plus, the risk of dependence is high. Tolerance builds quickly, and that leads to bigger doses, stronger effects, and a harder crack. In the US, it's a controlled substance, regulated based on dosage and combination. Bottom line, players need to steer clear or get caught in a spiral that ends in suspension, rehab, or worse. Alcohol or ethanol is legal, widely consumed, and not banned by the NBA. But that doesn't mean players can do keg stands before practice. The league allows drinking during personal time, but once it overlaps with team activities, everything changes. Show up under the influence to a game, practice, or official event, and the NBA might drop a mandated medical evaluation on you fast. The policy isn't just about image, it's about performance and health. If a player refuses evaluation or skips treatment, fines and suspensions can follow. And contracts sometimes include their own alcohol clauses, so breaking one could even void a deal. From a performance standpoint, alcohol is basically a stat sheet nightmare. It dehydrates the body, messes with coordination, slows reaction time, and wrecks sleep quality. Toss in hormonal effects like lowered testosterone, and now recovery and muscle growth get hit too. Not to mention, players become walking injury magnets when their reflexes are fried. Despite being socially accepted, alcohol can quietly sabotage a season. It's not illegal, but it is disruptive, and the league keeps a close eye on how it's used. If a player starts crossing the line, it's not just their play that suffered. The consequences are built right into the NBA's playbook for handling distractions and risk. Methanolone, also known as Primorally, is an anabolic steroid that's popped up in both medical and performance-enhancing conversations. But in the NBA, it's only part of the latter. It comes in two forms, inquires, which is injected, and acetate, which is taken orally. Both boost muscle growth, preserve lean mass, and accelerate recovery. Sounds like a dream, right? Until the drug test comes back positive. The NBA classifies Methanolone as a performance-enhancing drug under its anti-drug program. Back in 2013, Hedo Turkoglu got hit with a 20-game suspension after testing positive. He said the medication came from a trainer in Turkey and he didn't know it had methanolone in it. That didn't help him avoid the penalty. What makes this steroid appealing to athletes is its ability to improve protein synthesis, increase strength, and help burn fat without piling on water weight. But it doesn't come free. It can wreck natural testosterone production, mess up cholesterol levels, and damage the liver, especially the oral version. Acne, hair loss, and mood swings can tag along too. In the US, methanolone's a Schedule III controlled substance. It's banned without a prescription, and it's also listed by WADA and every major league, including the NBA. So even if someone thinks it'll help them power through a season, it'll likely end that season early instead. DMT, dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, is a psychedelic so intense it turns brains into kaleidoscopes in under a minute. It's naturally occurring in plants, animals, and even humans. But when concentrated and used recreationally, it launches users into vivid hallucinations, time distortion, and full-on out-of-body experiences. Not great for running a fast break. It falls under the hallucinogen category, and while no players have been suspended specifically for DMT, the league has enforced penalties for similar drug violations. First offense means mandatory treatment. After that, suspensions or even dismissal. DMT isn't performance enhancing unless you're trying to win a staring contest with the ceiling. It impairs judgment, coordination, and cognitive control. Physically, it can raise heart rate and blood pressure. Mentally, it can trigger anxiety, paranoia, or worse. These are not traits you want mid-game or in any competitive setting. Despite interest in its potential for mental health treatments, DMT remains a Schedule I substance in the US, meaning it's illegal with no accepted medical use. That makes it completely off limits in professional sports. The league's stance is simple. If you need to see other dimensions, do it far away from the court and the cameras. Temoxifen. Temoxifen is a prescription drug used to treat hormone-sensitive breast cancer, but in the world of pro sports like the NBA, it's known more for what it covers up than what it cures. It's a selective estrogen receptor modulator that blocks estrogen's effects in the body. In athletes, especially males, it can help restart natural testosterone production after a steroid cycle and prevent side effects like gynecomastia. The NBA bans Temoxifen under its anti-drug program because it's commonly used to mask or recover from anabolic steroid use. In 2014, Nick Calathes of the Memphis Grizzlies was suspended 20 games after testing positive. He claimed he hadn't knowingly taken it, but the league didn't budge. Strict liability means if it's in your system, it's on you. Temoxifen can boost testosterone indirectly, helping maintain strength and lean mass. That sounds helpful until the risks roll in. It can throw off hormonal balance, mess with mood, drop libido, and strain the liver. Long-term use even raises the risk of blood clot and other cardiovascular issues. Legally, Temoxifen requires a prescription in the U.S., and it's banned by WADA in every major sports league. Without proper medical need, using it is a fast way to get hit with a suspension and have your career questioned in the process. Primorally, also called GHRP2. This synthetic peptide tells your body to pump out more growth hormone by hitting the ghrelin receptors. Medically, it's used in Japan to test for hormone deficiencies. In the NBA, it's on the banned list for performance-enhancing drugs and mimetics. No players getting a pass for trying to sneak this into their recovery stack. The NBA treats it the same way WADA does, off limits all the time, not just during competition. A first offense gets you 25 games without pay. Slip up again, and the suspensions get longer. Third strike, you're out with a minimum 2-year disqualification before you can even ask to come back. John Collins got slapped with a 25-game suspension in 2019 for testing positive for GHRP2. Jody Meeks and Wilson Chandler also got hit, both tied to substances from the same category. The league isn't subtle with this stuff. If you're using something that boosts growth hormone, they're going to find it and punish it. Yes, it can build muscle, speed up recovery, and even stimulate appetite, but it comes with side effects like hormonal chaos, joint pain, and increased risk of diabetes. These aren't just side effects, they're warnings. In a league built on speed, stamina, and skill, trying to cheat biology usually backfire. Ligandrol, also known as LGD-4033. This selective androgen receptor modulator was developed to treat muscle-wasting diseases and osteoporosis. But in pro basketball, it's just another banned shortcut. Ligandrol binds to androgen receptors in muscle and bone, triggering anabolic effects without the full-blown steroid baggage. It's taken orally and sticks around in your system for over a day, long enough for the league's drug test to notice. In the NBA, Ligandrol is banned under the anti-drug program. A first offense, 25 games without pay. Joakim Noah learned that the hard way in 2017 with a 20-game suspension that cost him millions. Tristan Thompson got hit even harder in 2024 after testing positive for Ligandrol and ibutamoren. No ambiguity, no wiggle room. Ligandrol does increase lean mass and strength, but it also jacks up hormone levels in weird directions. Testosterone drops, cholesterol levels shift, and the liver can take a beating. HDL drops, enzymes spike, and suddenly, your body's regulatory systems are out of sync. The FDA hasn't approved it for medical use. It's still an investigational drug, banned by WADA in every major league, including the NBA. For athletes looking to gain an edge, Ligandrol offers a temporary boost, followed by a long suspension and a very public reminder that shortcuts usually lead to sideline seats. GHB, gamma-hydroxybutyric acid, is a central nervous system depressant that your body makes in small amounts, just not the kind the NBA's worried about. When taken recreationally, GHB acts like a sedative with euphoric effects. It's called liquid ecstasy, or just G. In the NBA, it's called a problem. GHB is listed under the NBA's drugs of abuse category. That means it's not just banned, it's handled with the league's strictest penalties. First offense, you're heading to treatment, no questions asked. Second time, suspension. Third, you're out, and you're not coming back for at least 2 years. GHB isn't used to improve performance. Quite the opposite. It impairs coordination, clouds decision-making, and causes memory gaps you definitely don't want during Game 7. It can make you dizzy, confused, and unable to function at a professional level. On top of that, it comes with serious risks: overdose, dependency, withdrawal symptoms like tremors and delirium, and even death if it's mixed with other depressants like alcohol. Legally, GHB is a Schedule I substance. Possession without medical authorization lands you in legal trouble, not just league trouble. The NBA's stance is clear. GHB has no place on or around the court, and any use will be met with serious consequences. Morphine. This opioid powerhouse is straight out of the opium poppy and straight into the NBA's list of drugs of abuse. It's prescribed for severe pain, like post-surgery or late-stage cancer, not for players trying to gut through a hamstring strain. Morphine binds to those mu-opioid receptors in the brain and turns down the pain dial, while also switching on a bunch of other effects nobody wants mid-game. The NBA doesn't mess around with this one. Morphine is banned, no exceptions. First offense, you're tossed into a treatment program. Second or third, say hello to suspension or worse, full disqualification. The league's not interested in excuses, whether it's prescribed or recreational. If you're found using it without medical clearance and oversight, you're out. Even though it's effective for pain, morphine slows reaction time, clouds thinking, and makes you drowsy. Not exactly ideal for running an offense or chasing down fast break. It also builds tolerance fast, meaning more of it is needed to get the same result, which is how dependence creeps in. The next thing you know, you're managing withdrawal instead of game prep. It's a Schedule II substance in the US, meaning legal with a prescription, but dangerous without one. It's also banned globally by anti-doping authorities. In pro hoops, morphine's reputation as a painkiller comes with a cost, and the league's not willing to pay it. Percoet. This drug's made up of oxycodone and acetaminophen. And yeah, it's prescribed for pain, but it's also a massive red flag in the NBA. Because oxycodone's the heavy hitter in there, Percoet ends up slapped with the Schedule II label in the United States. That's not exactly the good list. In the league, anything with oxycodone, whether it's called Percocet, OxyContin, or any of its many cousins, is off limits, unless it's got a prescription and is fully disclosed. If not, it's an instant problem, and the consequences aren't mild. The first violation gets a player tossed into a treatment program, no arguments. A second time means a suspension without pay, and that third strike, total dismissal. And good luck trying to get back in before 2 years go by. The league doesn't play when it comes to this stuff, and it makes sense. Percocet doesn't boost performance, it drags it down. Players can end up dizzy, sluggish, totally off balance. Mentally, it's even worse. Memory takes a hit, judgment goes out the window, and the mood swings. Nobody wants that on the floor. Health risks are brutal too. There's liver damage from the acetaminophen, serious withdrawal symptoms, and overdose can absolutely be fatal. That combo makes it clear why the NBA keeps it locked down. Ephedrin. This one's a plant-based stimulant that had a serious moment in the 90s and early 2000s, mostly showing up in weight loss and energy supplements. It's got ephedrine and pseudoephedrine in it, which basically crank up your nervous system, boost heart rate, and give a temporary jolt of alertness. Sounds handy until you look at the health risks. The NBA banned ephedrine and all its active components because the risks outweigh any of the so-called benefit. The stuff might have been pitched as a shortcut to energy and fat loss, but it's also linked to heart attacks, strokes, and some really dangerous heat-related complications. Even though the league hasn't publicized many player suspensions directly tied to ephedrine, the ban's solid, and they're not the only ones. The FDA banned it from supplements back in 2004, and that ruling stuck after a court challenge in 2006. Two tragic cases that pushed it into the spotlight were Corey Stringer and Steve Beckler. Both athletes, both linked to ephedra, both fatal. In terms of actual performance, studies have shown ephedra doesn't do much, maybe a tiny bit of short-term weight loss, but nothing game-changing. And when the downside is seizures, high blood pressure, and serious psychiatric symptoms, it's no mystery why it's off the table. The league made the right call. Phencyclidine. This one's more than just a mouthful. It's one of the most dangerous drugs that's ever been tied to professional sports. It started out in the 1950s as an anesthetic, but it didn't take long before doctors realized it came with wild side effects like severe hallucinations and total mental chaos. So they scrapped it for humans, and here we are. It's now totally banned and fully illegal in the United States. In the NBA, it's on the drug of abuse list. That means the league sees it as high risk, high damage, and absolutely useless for any kind of performance. If a player tests positive for it once, they're sent to a treatment program. Do it again, and it's suspensions or worse. A third strike can mean getting kicked out of the league, and not in a temporary kind of way. The way PCP messes with your brain is intense. It hijacks the glutamate system, and that's the part that keeps you grounded in reality. Instead, it throws you into hallucinations, confusion, and unpredictable behavior. Motor skills tank, coordination disappears, and aggression can spike. There's also long-term damage, like memory problems, speech issues, and serious depression. This stuff isn't just bad for basketball, it's bad, period. The league's zero tolerance on it makes sense. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.